What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wheel of Albums. Along with my brother Adam and our friend Jack, I am Justin. What we do here on Wheel of Albums is we spin a wheel of the 1001 albums you must hear before you die, from Robert Dimery's book, 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. This week, the wheel was spun. Sigur Rós from Iceland was spun. And their 1999 album, Ágætis byrjun.
Ágætis byrjun.
I hope I got that right.
Ágætis byrjun. Ágætis byrjun. Ágætis byrjun.
I have a copy of Ágætis byrjun on CD. I picked this up not too long after it was released, and I was looking forward to going back and seeing if that Icelandic magic still held its powers. Although I was apprehensive of how Jack and Adam would feel about visiting Iceland, learning a little bit more about Sigur Rós. Guys, how did you feel?
Let's start the insanity. Sigur Rós. I had no idea what was going on when this Icelandic group came up on the wheel. Justin or Adam had sent me a picture of them, and all I could think of is these look like the villains from Superman that got trapped over in the Phantom Zone. I'm going to give it a listen and see whether or not they should escape from the Phantom Zone or whether that is exactly where they belong.
I honestly thought that my first reaction is that I broke the wheel.
Ágætis byrjun.
Did not understand what the wheel was telling me.
Ágætis byrjun.
But after seeing that it was in fact Sigur Rós, I was skeptical but excited because I've heard a lot about them from Justin. You know, I'd never dived into anything they had done, so I was kind of on board and kind of excited to see what they had to offer.
It's not like any other type of music you can find from back in 1999. Maybe Mogwai, starting up with the post-rock. Professor Adam, if you could direct us to what post-rock is.
Post-rock is characterized by its use of traditional rock instrumentation to create atmospheric and textural soundscapes, often with slow builds, dynamic shifts, and experimental song structures. They're Hopelandic, which is an invented language used by the band in some songs. These guys defy traditional rock music structures.
And the professor has spoken. Doesn't mean I understand it or whether or not I even like it. I don't think that they have reinvented anything by looking deep into the organism of rock by their interpretation using a cello bow and some spacey music.
But see, that's where I think like the guitar bow on this thing, on some of these songs, makes them sound like they're playing from a deep dungeon cave somewhere under the volcanoes in Iceland. And I don't know why that's alluring to me, but it's very comforting. When we also look at the instrumentation on here, there's a lot of orchestral strings. Each song has its own payoff, I think. And then we get to Jonesy, the lead singer, and his voice. Obviously, if we're speaking English, we don't understand what he's saying. So his voice becomes an instrument. Do you guys find that distracting, or do you like Jonesy's voice going along with the flow here on Ágætis byrjun?
Are they vocals or are they sounds? They're sounds.
I kind of felt like he really added an extra layer to the atmosphere. Well, I did. I looked forward to when his voice would kick in. I didn't understand what he's singing about. The idea that it added this extra mood or layer to it didn't distract me at all, and I actually enjoyed when it came on.
You know, it's no worse than any of the other sounds on the album, so I suppose it helps. Song 2 in particular almost sounded like it was going to be a real song. Insert the correct Icelandic pronunciation.
Song 2, is that Sven Englar?
Svefnge Englar.
Okay, not even close.
Certainly made something different with this album. And I can see why there's a buzz around these guys. I personally, not the biggest fan, but maybe it's just what the doctor ordered to communicate with something not quite of this world or with the aliens. And for that, I give these guys credit. Or they were just really bored.
I couldn't help but thinking of the Twin Peaks soundtrack as I was listening to this. And unfortunately for this Icelandic group, I really like the Twin Peaks soundtrack, which came out about 8 or 9 years before this record, and it was much better done than
Ágætis byrjun.
One quick note on Olsen track 8. The second half of that song, it's 8 minutes long. If you don't like the rest of the album, the build that you've been waiting for, and it's probably a piece of the most hopeful music I've heard in a long time. Hats off to Sigur Rós for Olsen Olsen, which definitely was a standout track.
Yeah, Olsen Olsen is my favorite song on this album, too. I gave it a flat out a 10. Build on that just reminds me of something celebratory and, like you said, hopeful, Adam. If you listen to all this, I could go into this probably in detail. I'm not going to, but I feel like the whole album starts with the rewind during intro, and then it feels like every song on this album is a flashback to somebody's life, or at least important parts to somebody's life. And then from there, that's kind of like the beginning of life. Starfleur feels like the teenage years, first love, and then each song up to Olsen Olsen, I think, pinpoints something in their life, with the title track at the end being the later years of somebody's life.
I didn't know a lot about the scene in Iceland, so I'm having a hard time deciding, what's the audience, what's the purpose, what drove these individuals into deciding, hey kids, let's get together and make a band. And by the way, this is our sound.
In my head, I kind of felt like the entire album's like waiting to get into heaven. Track 1, I could imagine someone going to the Blue Lagoon and drowning and having something bad happen. And then in track 2, I could see them waiting to get through the pearly gates, and that it's you, like they're choosing him to maybe get into heaven. But then there's a hiccup, and they put him in a holding room. In tracks 3 through 7, it's like heaven's testing the person.
The Icelandic language has over 100 words for wind.
Olsen Olsen, track 8, comes on, and it is just a beautiful crescendo. I love that song. That's pretty much the only one I wanted to listen to over and over again. Tracks 9 and 10, I could just see, like in a movie, like the credits rolling as you enter into eternity, and you're being lifted up and up and up into eternity.
Up and away in my beautiful balloon. This album was a lot slower to me than what I remembered listening to it when I got before. Maybe it's because life right now is a lot busier and we demand things a lot quicker. It was tough sometimes because I knew what the payoffs on these songs were. Sometimes my patience wasn't like what it used to be. And I was disappointed myself because of that.
This is elfin music, baby. There's a group of rocks. There's several rock ranges, I guess, throughout Iceland. And one of them is these bizarre-looking rock pillars are said to be petrified trolls, turned to stone when they were exposed to the dawn sunrise and frozen forever in time. A core belief system like that in operation in Iceland. Hey, maybe that is why this album went triple platinum in Iceland. Bam, bam, bam.
All right, when we take a look at our ratings, rating all the songs from scale 1 to 10, Jack and Adam both scored the same with a 4.2. I gave this the highest score of a 7.2 for an average of 5.2. Olsen Olsen was our combined favorite song on this album. Jack, must you listen to
Ágætis byrjun.
Before You Die?
I really disliked it. I cannot recommend that this is an album that you must hear before you die. I will say that song 2 reminds me of Twin Peaks. Mainly, I think most of the song titles are just curse words when you're failing to put together your IKEA furniture. Send Sigur Rós back to the Phantom Zone where they belong, Jor-El. They are criminals for putting out this record.
All right, I'm going to stick to my guns and say that Ágætis byrjun is something you must hear before you die. When you hear lush orchestration, you think of warm, but yet this album remains cold. Feels like it's songs from an island that their inhabitants are calling to you. You don't know what they're saying. They've been calling to me for 25 years. I don't listen to this all the time. I probably don't keep it as in high regard as I used to, but I still think it's a damn fine listen that you got to listen to at least once in your life. Adam, break that tie. What do you think?
Should you have the bow guitar haunt you before you die? I'm going to say Yes. The numbers don't say yes. I'm starting to see this trend with me where I'm saying, yes, you need to hear albums before you die, just for the sole fact that you aren't going to find any better post-rock albums that make you think you're entering heaven, sung in the Icelandic native language. I mean, you might as well go with Ágætis byrjun, or I know I butchered that. So
Ágætis byrjun.
All right, so that is 2 yeas and an A for Sigur Rós. We're running short on time, Jack. Why don't we give that wheel a spin for our next episode?
Bam, bam, bam. I spun tubular bells. Mike Oldfield's 1973 50-minute, mostly instrumental debut.
All right. Looks like we continue to hit the Outer Banks of music here. Okay, Mike Oldfield next. Tubular Bells. For Adam and Jack, I'm Justin. Have yourself a great week. Adam and Jack, why don't you leave us with a few facts of Iceland you figured out?
you could go to the Golden Circle, which is a geothermal area with geysers and waterfalls. Evidently, there's a lot of waterfalls in Iceland.
This one is worldwide, really. I don't know that this is specific to Iceland, but ice cream. Icelanders love ice cream.
There's also the Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon, a stunning glacial lake filled with icebergs, often with opportunities for boat tours.
Iceland has 13 Santas. Icelandic children place their shoe in the bedroom window each evening for 13 days before Christmas. Every night, one of the Yule lads, these are the sub-Santas or the coexistent Santas, the Yule lads will visit and leave a small gift for them depending on how each child has been behaving. One of the Yule lads' personality is he likes to steal leftovers. Another Yule lad likes to slam doors during the night. Their personalities are reflected in their gifts and their pranks.